Hey everyone, it's Christine here. Welcome to this video on a few channeled messages I received. So we are going to get right into this. I am speaking organically. I have a few bullet points, but nothing else. And something that prompted me to do this video was connecting to a lot of people, especially locally, and some people that I know that have been experiencing major car problems since the start of this year. And I know it has a relation to uh, the transit with Pluto and when Pluto ingressed into Aquarius. But beyond that, I kept getting a lot of messages about this. And when I was digging deeper and asking people questions, a lot of the similar themes came up, which is really, really interesting. So there's been a lot of car issues that I have been experiencing, not just myself, but in general with other people. And I'm like, wow, there's a theme here about cars. People's cars have died. People have needed to replace major components in their cars, like radiators, maybe fenders, bumpers, more aesthetics components, but also internal parts. People have had car crashes or issues with their cars not functioning in the way that they want, etc. There's many, and I'm like, you know what? This is not a coincidence. A lot of people that I've been talking to have been experiencing something with a car. And I was just sitting with it. And this stems back to the summer when I had 2 flat tires. That's a separate video that I want to do on the spiritual meaning of that. But I kept getting with all these car issues, what is happening? And when I was thinking about what this represented, a car, a vehicle in itself, represents our direction, akin to a compass. You know, when you have a compass, it has arrows usually, or it moves, it's telling you where to go, like navigation. And the car, for a lot of us, navigates or takes us to places where we need to go. Most people don't just sit in the car and they sit there, right? Most people don't purchase cars just to sit in it. They drive for a reason, whether it's for pleasure or enjoyment, for work, mixture of both, whatever it is. And a lot of this had to do with life path, life destiny, and taking power back or control back. In other words, being the own agent of your life. And so I wanted to share a few messages that I channeled around this, especially if you're having car issues. But in general, this is a message and messages, I should say, connected that is applicable to anyone and everyone right now in this season of life and what you may be going through that may be insinuating, suggesting, or alluding to some type of big change in your life, especially if you don't feel like you're on the right track or like where you're going or heading towards is the right way for you. So the first thing I got was be the driver of your own life. When you get into a car, sometimes we have to sit in the passenger seat and we generally relegate the rules of driving, etc., to the driver, right? They're driving, they should know, we'll just sit in the seat and be a part of this. And what I realized after sitting with this and asking for guidance and receiving a lot of messages and connecting to other people about this was so many times when we have challenges or issues or things that come up that we didn't plan. In other words, they were out of our control. It's easy to give our power away. It's easy to say, oh, woe is me. It's easy to self-victimize, so many things. Because it makes us feel better, like, okay, well, I didn't initiate or prompt this, I didn't do this, so it's not my fault. I don't have to take responsibility. And yeah, to a degree, a lot of this we didn't initiate, it's not our fault. The problem is when we don't like responsibility for what to do next, because it's really easy to subsume ourselves in that energy of, oh, this shit happened again. What am I going to do? And go down that role or hole, I should say, of complaining, of negativity. And there is a time and a place for that because I feel like that's part of the process of expressing yourself, of getting all that energy out, the shit, processing your feelings, etc. But after that, if we continue staying in that mode of being a passenger or relegating responsibility and accountability, that's when we start to lose agency. That's when we give our power away and when we allow others to dictate what happens to us. And that's not the point of this. And I kept getting this with the car issues because there's several things we can do when things like that happen to us. And all these car issues are simply metaphors for so many things going on in our life. They could be represented by people, jobs, beliefs, whatever it is. But the car is really big because it's a vehicle akin to, a human and a guiding post or a directional signal for us in terms of how we navigate our lives. And it was really important that something coming through was constantly being emphasized or re-emphasized around being the driver of your own seat and taking accountability for everything, which does not mean that you're at fault. It doesn't mean that what you did was bad. It doesn't mean that you deserve this. None of that. It's simply saying, okay, this happened to me. This may have involved other people. This may have been something unexpected. What can I do now? What are some steps forward? Because sometimes a lot of things happen outside of our plans. And that's generally when a lot of this stuff happens. We don't plan to get into car crashes. We don't plan to get fired. We don't plan to leave jobs or end relationships or whatever it is. There's going to be a lot of examples coming through. And it's the after fact that can really dictate how we navigate forward. This also brings up the notion about being in the driver's seat of owning who you are and where you are at in this season of your life, because those are constantly shifting. Our identities, who we are, where we want to go, they are in flux and shift throughout our life. Think back when you were 18 years old versus 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. More than likely, you took into account or encompass different identities at those times. So it's important to acknowledge too, this is where I'm at. And it's okay if you change or things change or plans change. But right now, the major overall message from all of this is to take control of your life, to stop giving your power away to situations, to people, to any events, especially in the past, because we can't change any of that. And that's probably the hardest thing. So many people, including myself, I've done this before. When you try to change and you fixate on changing something, you're essentially going against something that will not unchange. And there's a point of suffering that is introduced here. Because when you don't accept what has happened, which doesn't mean that you're agreeing with it or that you're condoning it or you're saying, yeah, love this. It simply means this happened. It happened. Nothing I can do to change it. You lessen that point of suffering for yourself. It's like holding on tightly to something when you know it's ended. And a lot of times we do that to evade the feelings that come with it, to feel a certain way. We don't want to feel those emotions. They may remind us of something else or bring up something else. So right now, some of the messages I've been getting clearly denote about taking an active role in your life, being responsible and being accountable to yourself more than anyone else. Second message that I got here was it's time to change mechanics. And this had to do with people, fixtures, events, situations, beliefs, jobs, wherever you put your energy. Time to change those in your life that don't support where it is you want to go. Especially if they don't empower you, they don't support you, they don't uplift you. And you will know. This has been happening quite quickly, in quick succession, I should say. And some of these messages I'm relaying to you, I've been channeling them for several weeks now. And not everyone is meant to stay in your life, especially if you are navigating the spiritual path. You may realize how quickly and fast someone enters and leaves your life. And many times it's because they've needed to reiterate, show you a lesson, or closure. They provide some type of closure with that lesson. It may not be the same person, but there's a theme there. So it's important here to think about, again, this is all metaphorical relating to the car. Different elements of your car, if you don't take care of it, just like you don't take care of your life, things may start to break down in ways you don't foresee. You may experience different situations with people that you didn't anticipate before. You may realize certain people have changed, or maybe you have changed, whatever the case is. The mechanics within your life that are part of your control include boundaries, communication, and making decisions for yourself that allow you to say, is this coming with me in my back trunk of my car, or is it not? Third, I want to say a lot of these car issues and the messages I've been channeling indicate major reorganization and reassessments that are happening right now in life. It's something like Tetris, like a game of Tetris or some type of game where things are just being organized, reorganized, and shifted. And a lot of times when I try to discern why, I don't get right away the particular reason. But what I do understand is a lot of this is because we may be on paths that are not aligned to where we are ultimately going to be fulfilled the most, or where we are wanting to go that will generate or give back the growth that we most desire. Sometimes we think we need or want something or someone. We're like, this is right or perfect for me. When in reality, we don't see something higher of why certain things happen until after the fact. And we're like, wow, I would never have anticipated this shift or this change to result in something better had it not happened, especially if it wasn't on your own accord. So because a lot of these car issues that happen, most people don't provoke them, and that's holding everything constant, especially if you do take care of your car, maintenance, etc., right? If you don't take care of your car, well, naturally it's going to reflect back to you a few things. So this also has similar messages about your life and taking care of your life and being the owner of your life. So same thing here with the reorganization. View it in that way where certain things may not be happening in the way that you want. Things are being reorganized and reshuffled behind the scenes that you may not even see or understand just yet. And there's a lot of energies right now that support this, but I just want to speak very practically right now without referencing anything about that. Check too when I spoke of maintenance, because many of these people I connected to, there's quite a few that were having car issues. I'm like, I can't believe it. They were taking care of their cars. Maintenance was something that they upheld and incorporated into their daily routines and weekly routines. And so you can't say this was something that was at the fault of these people, right? And in the same vein, this also demonstrates to you, especially with regards to what happened and the particulars, with the car, what needs tightening or loosening in your life? What needs cleaning up or fixing up? What can we release or change? So I wanted to keep this message short. This has been a message that has resoundingly popping through, coming up, especially with vehicles. Some of you are about to turn and navigate in a completely different direction than you imagined. Some of you are feeling that prompt, and you may be feeling a lot of fear and insecurity and doubt and feeling scared in general, because when you've been doing something and you've stayed in your lane for so long and you can just feel it that something new is coming, either you will take that initiative and do it yourself, or something may happen external from you, independent of you. We'll just say a universal giant ass nugget drops, forcing this change to happen. And a lot of times this has to do with reorganizing our path in a way that's going to enhance and allow us to grow our journey and to move forward, because there's a strong energetic acceleration happening. I've been feeling it probably since summer, but it's gotten closer, or stronger, I should say, the closer we entered into 2024. And that's just as a time marker, as a point of reference. But there's a strong focus on accelerating and moving forward and growing. So if you've noticed that people have left your life, you're feeling a certain way or different feeling with a job or a position, and you're like, I'm leaving, or you may find out you're being made redundant or laid off. You may find your tastes, your preferences have changed. So many, again, across the board. These are some of the reasons why. And a lot of this has to do with not just putting our hands up and saying, I give up, I'm done, I surrender, but also acknowledging, you know what? Something is changing here that I'm feeling is not in line to where I want to go. And it's asking us to revisit. What do I care about? And these are basic, like foundational elements whenever you pursue anything. What matters to me, what's important, and what is it that I'm learning here? I think this can be something towards the tail end, especially if you've experienced hardships, car issues. Again, I don't think it's right when something just happened and you're like, what's the spiritual meaning of this? Because a lot of times you're skipping over things, and it's important to process things as a human and we will gain deeper understanding about that. But towards the tail end, as we progress through things, and in retrospect, a lot of times, a lot of the hardships I've experienced, I'm able to see them from a more humorous lens, and I can laugh about it now. At that time, I couldn't. So you're able to see things from a completely different level, a higher spiritual level, a more divine level, a macro level that'll help you connect and understand, wow, I'm really grateful that this happened because I never would have met this person or understood this lesson or taken care of my health or done this or whatever it is. So really think about right now as your life may be being reorganized, being reshuffled, things are shifting or changing, or you're feeling that impetus, because don't ignore that. It'll keep getting louder when you feel something doesn't resonate anymore. A situation, a job, a belief, or something, it's asking for you to pay attention to that closely and to ask yourself, what's the next step I can take? Because have you noticed when you ignore something, especially when it keeps coming back, finally something happens that's out of your control? So I simply want to leave you with that and ask you, what are your next steps? Remember, steps can be small, which doesn't mean that the action is going to produce something small. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It can just mean simply changing a step, simply changing something in your life by taking a step towards a direction that you want to go in. Take a look at some of these other videos, you guys, for help. I feel so called to do more of these that have been affecting so many people right now, and I hope this has helped. I'll see you soon. Take care.